Whoa. Hello, everybody. Hope you guys can hear me loud and clear. You know, Samsung has this, it's a background noise cancellation feature. And while I was tinkering with the settings on my phone, I noticed it. I've turned it on, whatever the heck that means, and then we'll see how it turns out. We'll see how the score comes out. What I need for you to tell me at this moment, Joseph Chishimba, thank you so much, brother. I need you to tell me, brother, if this broadcast is clear. Hello, my Ruwa says very loud and clear. I'm very pleased to hear that. I'm not using any mic. I'm not using any external mic. I'm using the inbuilt mic on this particular phone. And like I just briefly mentioned, there's a new feature on there. It might be an old feature. Well, it's new to me. I've just recently learned about this feature. It's called the background noise cancellation feature, which I think is important. If you don't have a lavalier mic, it's a great feature to use. And I love to use StreamYard on my live broadcasts, but when there's no power, there's nothing you can do about it. So I'm using the natural light from my window. There is no power here at Simoson. We're still waiting for that, whatever the quota is of power that they're going to ration out. I will say though, we have procured a generator, and we're doing solar panels for Simoson, and that's going to be rolling out in the next few days, and we're looking forward to that. And I think ultimately that's where we're going to go as a nation. Zambians now have decided to grab a hold of this opportunity to seek alternative sources of energy. And guys, let me give you a word of encouragement before I get into my dissertation. This opportunity of a lack of power, really, truly speaking, those that are smart are going to make money in this environment, because every problem presents alternative opportunities. You must understand that. It's not all bad. Okay, it's not all doom and gloom. There is a light that permeates through the darkness. But you have to be keen enough to understand and see what it is. If you sit around all day and just think about how, it used to be this, that, and the other, and if that's all you're doing, you're simply running in one spot. You're not advancing. Take the opportunity to look at the opportunities that present themselves, even in this difficult time we're in. Understand that. Okay. Guys, last night, as many of you did, I tuned into ECL's Facebook page because at about 18:30 yesterday, a communique was sent out by ECL's team. They said that he was going to address his audience. He was going to address the Zambian people through his Facebook page. And naturally, being a former head of state, everything that the sixth and former President Lungu says is newsworthy, you know. And I always find it strange that people think, no, why are you watching him? If he's not a threat, why are you watching? Well, because he's a former head of state. If Lungu sneezed now, it's a news item. Why? Because he's a former head of state. And I just I get befuddled. I really do. I get befuddled when I hear people say, no, you are just afraid of him. Why are you concerned about him? Because he's a former head of state. Get that in your thick skulls, you Dwanzis. Get it in your thick skulls. All right. So he said a few things. Of course, I'm not going to comb through everything that he said. I will pick out a few points that I think are important. And he opened his speech by saying, I have chosen these remarks because they are important to the well-being of Zambia. Well, the truth is, everything he said yesterday was important to the well-being. Okay, we're gonna block PF Kada, whatever it is here. Let's block them. Yeah, I don't mind if you're going to say something on the broadcast, but it's called spamming. You know, when you repeat one thing, you know, it's like 50 different sections of the comment section, and you're saying the same thing, that's spamming, and that's not good. Make your point. We hear your point, but don't spam, okay? Don't flood the comment section with your one comment. So, and I usually let PF Kada network on my page, but then in this instance, when they start doing that, it's annoying. It distracts from what I'm trying to say. And guys, be respectful. This is my platform, okay? So if I want to say something on my platform, I should be allowed to do that. Okay, so back to what I was saying. The former president, the former and sixth president, opened by saying, I have chosen to make these remarks because they are important to the well-being of our country. Wrong. These remarks that the former and sixth president made are important to the well-being of him and his family. By his own admission, he has made it abundantly clear that he feels that nobody will stand up for him. And so the only choice that he has is to re-enter the arena of real Zambian politics in order to safeguard him and his family. He's on record. He said that before. So do not be misled when the former president says that I'm doing this for Zambia. No, he's doing this for himself, his family, his well-being. Everything else is sugarcoated. Everything else is camouflaged. There is nothing patriotic about whatever former President Lungu is trying to do. There is nothing that is country-centered about what former President Lungu is trying to do. There is nothing that speaks of nationalism that President Lungu is doing. Every single solitary thing that ECL has embarked upon from this point forward, no pun intended, is designed to safeguard him and to preserve his well-being and his family. We have seen it in the recent past. Just a few days ago, we saw his wife, former First Lady, Esther Lungu, her property, part of her property was forfeited to the state. And guys, losing property is painful. But when you lose ill-gotten gain, that is not justifiable. Let's be clear. Let's say that again. Losing genuine property is painful. It is horrendous. It's damnable. It's dastardly. When you lose property that you worked hard for, you lose property that you did everything within your power to cross every T, dot every I. You followed the rules. You followed your entrepreneurial instincts. And then all of a sudden you lose that property. It's a very painful experience, but you must understand that losing ill-gotten gain is not justifiable. You must understand that. Of course, if you haven't been there, you don't know what the heck I'm talking about. So let's start there. This whole thing is not about patriotism. There is not one patriotic fiber that exists in ECL's body when it comes to his attempt to run for a third term. Oh, that's heavy. Let me say that again. There is not one patriotic fiber in ECL's body that exists simply because he's vying for a third term. That's not patriotism. That's selfishness of the highest order, and it should not be tolerated. Now, the crux, the whole gist of his dissertation was the eligibility issue. That's the whole crux of the thing. Now, this is the truth. The truth is, the matter of Lungu's eligibility was deciphered under a PF-friendly environment. You must understand that. When we talk about, well, this matter was already decided, when you hear people say, well, the courts determined this issue, this matter was signed, sealed, and delivered. But the truth is, this matter was deciphered under a PF-friendly environment. That's all it is. I mean, PF was in power. They were the be-all and, well, at least they thought that they were the be-all and end-all. They were so careless with the power that they wielded that in their minds they felt and thought that they would rule and reign for 1,000 generations. It never entered their mind, not once, that possibly the Zambian people would decide a different course of action. It never crossed their minds once that the Zambian people would one day stand up in unison and say, this is not the trajectory we want to be on. It never crossed their minds. And so consequently, they were very careless with what they did. They were arbitrary with their actions. And so it was a rude awakening when the Zambian people in 2021, 2.8 million strong, stood up and said, no, we don't want that, we want this. And so here it is, the PF are in the wilderness. They are lost in the wilderness. They are parched, scorched, and thirsty, and there is no democratic water anywhere. I want that to sink in. They are parched, thirsty, and they are famished. And there is no democratic water anywhere near them. Why? Because they squandered their opportunity. They felt entitled. And so here it is. Lungu needs to understand that when he uses the phrase, because he used this last night, he said, HH must face me. Mr. Former President, he doesn't have to face you. You are not calling the shots. You are in no position of authority, no position morally, no position whatsoever to call the shots. Why? Because you were sworn in twice, you were elected twice, you served twice, and that's just the bottom line. So when you say, he must face me, you are being disingenuous. You are being misleading because you've already done your time. Other people should face HH, not you. Other eligible candidates that want to lead this nation to a better place and to a different place must stand and face HH, not you. I will always quote Lungu when he said that development has no destination. It doesn't. Every president does his or her part. Every president comes to the table of service and says, I have done my part. I've run my race. I've done my thing. It's time now to pass the baton on to the next generation of leadership and see what they're going to do. No mga mo ay kala feyo ni fuego fie. It's only us. And not only us, it's only Balungu. Wrong, 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 wrong. 1,000 times wrong. 1 billion times wrong to the power of 10 wrong. The sooner you realize that, the better off you'll be. So here it is. I want you to know, because I know this is something that Zambians, especially PF supporters, you don't like talking about this, and that's fine. It's called partisan politics, and you're fine to think that way. This is Zambia is not a totalitarian state. So you are allowed to have divergent views. If you have a different political persuasion, that's fine. We cannot all agree on one thing. You know, different presidential candidates have different presidential supporters. So it's fine. But here's the thing. You must understand that Zambia will survive without EDGAR Lungu. You must understand that. The caliber of the capacity of these PF vagabonds, these despots, these bottom feeders, these moochers, these scoundrels, these rascals that call themselves PF supporters. The problem with them is that they think that if ECL is not on the ballot, the whole world will go to hell in a handbasket. Well, that's just not true. Trust me when I tell you that if and when ECL is not on the ballot in 2026, guess what? The sun's going to come up in the same way that it always comes up. Traffic is going to be intense on Great East Road in the same way that it's already been intense. City Market is going to have thousands and thousands of shoppers every single day. Nothing will change. Don't be disillusioned. Don't be misled. That is a cult that you're leading there when you think that the only savior, the only political savior we have in Zambia is ECL? Are you serious? The man became president by a fluke, being in the right time, being in the right place at the right time. There was nothing intentional about his desire to be president. And he's the man that you're hinging the future of Zambia on? Come on. The man did his time. He did his bit. We love him. It's time for him to ride off into the sunset and pave the way for other leaders, for other minds, for other outlooks, for other people to put their names forward and say, I want to lead this nation. So it's disheartening when I hear Lungu say, HH must face me. And then lastly, he says, because the truth is, HH doesn't have to face ECL. He doesn't. Because ECL is not in a position of authority. He doesn't call the shots. He is no longer pressing the buttons. He's no longer making the phone calls. Somebody else is in that seat. ECL is no longer in the seat of authority. He must understand that. So here's the thing. Whatever happens, I got amused last night when ECL says, ask HH what the price of mealie meal was when you got there. Well, we should ask you what the price of mealie meal was when Wanawasa was president. Can we ask you that? We should ask you, the PF, what the price of mealie meal was when Bachiruba was president. Oh hell, we should ask you what the price of sugar and mealie meal was when Wakaunda was president. How dare you sit there and make it sound like you're the saviors of this nation. You're not. You're servants of the people. You serve, you do your time, you step aside, leave, do something else. Don't talk to us about, ask us what the price of mealie meal was. Well, what was the price of mealie meal when Bachiruba was there? Can you tell me that? PF? Nonsense. All right. Thought I'd share that with you guys. If it's real, I'm a light. We are waiting for the power to come. Love y'all. Bye.